All right, guys, next thing we're going to do is we're going to use the force table to change the status of the tags in our PLC program. So it says that tables allow you to force inputs and outputs to either false or true state. It also says to be very cautious when using force instructions. This should only be done in your school lab or at home. Remember that out in the field, you're liable for changes that you make to the program. Forcing of inputs and outputs can be very dangerous because you're physically manipulating the state of bits while negating the logic within the PLC program. So you're going to force those bits, but you're completely negating anything that decided that logic prior to you putting those forces in. If you have to force a bit during maintenance or troubleshooting, then make sure to release the force and restore the PLC back to its normal operating state before you walk away from it. Never keep forces on to make something work out in the field in the real world. Okay, they're very dangerous. Okay, so you want to have your PLC program working properly. You can use these force tables in order to investigate things, but you need to remove those forces before you move away from the PLC and the machine because you're liable for any changes that you make out in the field. Okay, so you're probably going crazy because I keep changing these back from physical inputs to memory bits and memory bits to physical inputs. So you'll see from the previous video that I've changed them from the memory bits that we had on the previous video back to physical inputs now. Okay, you're also probably like losing it because we keep looking at this same program. We are going to move forwards from the same program, but I just want to show you all the facets of this TIA portal, being the watch table, the force table, the PLC sim, the sequencing in PLC sim, so we can make use of all of these tools moving forwards. All right, guys, so what we're going to do is we're going to open up the project tree if it's not open by clicking on this one right here. And we're scrolling down, and right where we had the watch table, we're going to double click on the force table. Okay, this brings up our force table now, and because we're using the physical inputs now, let's make use of the stop, the start, and you'll see that these are all the peripheral tags that are coming in here, and we'll make use of the output. Looks good. Okay, let's float this. This is disgustingly large, so we're going to make this smaller. Okay, and let's put that beside our program here. And then bear with me, I'm just going to turn on PLC Sim, and then we'll move forwards. But you guys do the same. Set this up, set up your force table with the tags that are within our program here, and then set up your PLC Sim. I'll be back to you in 2 seconds. Excellent. Okay, so now we've got our PLC sim running, right? We've got green lights here. Logic is here at the stop push button. You can see that I've turned on the monitoring here. I also want to turn on the monitoring here within my force table. So we're going to click on this guy to monitor all. Okay, next thing we're going to do, because we see these red things here underneath the glasses, it says peripheral inputs can only be monitored in the expanded mode. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to come over here and said show hide the expanded mode columns. So let's click on that. Beautiful. Now we have a couple of other columns that come in. And the next thing we're going to do is we want to force the stop push button from a 0 to a 1. Now you would think that you just click on this guy, but that doesn't work. See, nothing's happening there. So I want you to right click on that guy, and we're going to force, and then over here we're going to force this one to a 1. And once we do that, we should find that the stop push button goes green. And it's telling you be careful, like you're forcing a bit. So do you really want to do this? So we'll hit yes. Right on. Okay, so a couple things changed here on our program. Okay, you'll see that we have an exclamation mark here. We'll see that the stop push button is green. The logic is now moved over to the start push button, and the output instruction that corresponds to this guy. And you see that we have forced that unit on with the F above there. You can see that the forcing is shown here on the stop push button. And we can see here that it's now forced to a true value. Excellent. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to force the start push button now. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to do that a little bit differently. We're going to hit true here. Or not true, not hit true, but we're going to type true into our force table, right? So on the previous one, we clicked here and went force and force to a 1. With this one, we've just typed in true. And at that point, it's not going to come in until we hit this play button. So I have to click back onto here. Okay, This is telling us that this has not changed yet. It's waiting for us to give us the go-ahead. Okay, and it says start or replace forcing of the visible addresses in the force table. So we're going to do that, and we should find that the start push button goes true now. Okay, again, it's warning us that we are doing so. Beautiful. Now we got another force that comes in here. Okay, so both the stop and the start are now forced to a 1. We can see that here as well. They're both monitored and they're showing a true value. Okay, and now we can see that that the output has now gone true as well. Okay, but you'll see that the value down here does not show the force, does not show the monitoring value yet. So you can see for this reason, like it says that you can't see it unless it's in the expanded mode, right? But it's still not coming in. So this is fine for forcing bits, but I find that like if I wanted to actually view the status of all the tags that are here, then I would want to make use of what we looked at before, the PLC project view. Okay, so let's remove the force from the start push button. Okay, so we're going to come over here. We're going to click on this. We're now going to come down here. Now I can force this to a 0, but I'd rather click on stop forcing. Let's see if stop forcing removes everything. Can't remember. Personally initiated this force job. Verify the job first with the generator. Do you want to continue? Yes. Okay, so that removes all of the forces. Okay, so that's no good. So let's go back here. Let's force this to a 1. Okay, so stop is forced. Now the start is forced. Okay, now our output is on. So now what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to force this to a 0 there, because the stop forcing stopped all forcing altogether. Okay, so we're going to force this now to a 0. Okay, so now our start has been let go. Our output is still on because we have the logic continuity between these guys, keeping our output on. And the last thing we're going to do now is we're going to click on this guy. We're going to force the stop to a 0, and that should eliminate the output being on again. Nice. Excellent. Now, we've been able to force the values on our stop and our start. Okay, before we move away from this program or move away from this machine, then we're going to click on here, right? And we're going to click on force. And again, we're going to come down here and we're going to stop all forcing altogether. Okay, it says if you haven't personally initiated this job, then verify the job first with whoever started this. Do you want to continue? Yes, we do. We want to eliminate those forces before leaving the machine. All right, guys. So we've been able to look at, oh, and that's cool. Do you see that? After we remove the forces, then the exclamation mark here telling us that we had forces enabled on our PLC program was eliminated, and now we got green lights all throughout here. Sweet. So now yet another tool that we can make use of, using the forcing of the bits, right? Be careful with these guys. It's different than just modifying values, like where we're modifying those memory bits. This is physically changing the state of an output, right, or an input. So be careful with these forces, but it is a great way to troubleshoot stuff. Just make sure that when you leave a machine that you eliminate all the forces that were placed on there. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next video.